Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. It is Friday. StudentLoanJustice.org is our name. Fighting for two things: bankruptcy protections and the cancellation of all federally owned student loan debt is our game. We're the oldest, largest, first, and really only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. We've been around for 18 years now. We've been featured on 60 Minutes and the New York Times and Fox News and MSNBC and NPR and you name it. The Guardian. I'm going to get right into it tonight, folks. It's Friday. I'm going to try and keep it quick. A couple of quick announcements before I begin. Thanks again to Jackie A. Braun in Texas, I might add. I've been thanking her a lot this week, but for good reason. We met with a very key member of Congress today, thanks to her efforts. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but I will say this, ladies and gentlemen, we need to get into meetings with both of your senators and your House rep. Student loans are probably, and I'm foreshadowing what I'm going to talk about tonight, but student loans are probably going to be turned back on really soon, like at the end of summer. And if bankruptcy rights remain gone from these loans, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a slaughter. It's going to be a feast, and we are the pig on the table. We are the Thanksgiving turkey when these loans get turned back on, and we continue to be stripped of the bankruptcy rights that exist for all other loans. So make that happen, guys. This is a working, fighting group, and I hope you can appreciate that. We may have 1.2 million members on paper, but I can tell you on any given day, 1.199 of those people are doing jack nothing to help us fight. If you're watching this, you are a pioneer in the battle for student loan justice, and you cannot unhear that. At the very minimum, what, in my humble opinion, everyone on our group ought to be doing is our daily actions. But right now and before the end of summer, it is critically important that we get into a meeting with both of your senators and your member of Congress. We've got to get a bankruptcy bill as quickly as possible, like before September 1st would be best. So thanks to Jackie for making that happen. We've met with dozens of legislators this year so far, many dozens, I think, at least 2 or 3 dozen at this point. But, there's 535 members of Congress, guys, and the chances are we have not met with your House rep. Chances are we have probably not met with either of your senators. So this all starts with you. You've got to pick up the phone and get a meeting. Give them our contact information. Student Loan Justice. You can give them my phone number, 202-594-1120. Email justice@studentloanjustice.org. We will do all the talking in these meetings if we have to, but you have to set them up because you're a constituent. So thanks to Jackie for doing that. And if you're in Texas, you need to be helping Jackie. She's our Texas state chapter leader, by the way. So there's that. Oh, also, I need to ask very kindly, plainly, and rather urgently at the moment, if you can donate today, will you please do that? Please. We need to raise around a little bit less than $300 for our expenses this week. And so we need around 15 people to donate $20 or more. We don't do deals with bad guys. We don't make money off of your ass on the sly by railroading you into loan rehabilitation or loan consolidation or loan counseling. We don't do any of that bullshit, guys. The only place that we get money from is normal people like you in the form of personal gifts. So if you appreciate the fact that it was this group that caused the whole student loan cancellation thing by executive order to even happen in the first place, if you appreciate the fact that we would have and will have no meaningful bankruptcy legislation to fight for, but for this group, and you want this group to not disappear, which is a very real possibility, guys. Please just kick in money so I don't have to stop, so I can stop asking about it. I suck at fundraising. I'm no good at it. We can do what we do on very little money, but we can't do it on nothing. So anyways, I'm looking for your questions and comments right now. If you have any questions, comments, editorial opinions, or otherwise, by all means, throw them out. And if I can see them on Facebook, I will very happily read them out on air and respond to them. Or if I can see them on Twitter as well. So tonight, I want to talk about what is going to happen. What is going to happen with student loans? First of all, the easy answer is no one knows. Not even the people at the Department of Education have the first clue as to what is going to happen with these loans. They kind of have an idea for what they'd like to happen, but they don't know. They're playing this by the seat of their pants. They know what I know. And what I know is that the entire federal student loan program is essentially one massive, catastrophic, failed train wreck. Before the pandemic, 60% of all borrowers were not paying. Now today, post COVID or whatever you want to call it, post pandemic, still nobody's paying right now. And whenever they try and turn the loans back on, my best estimate is that not even really probably 20%, 1 out of 5, like no more than 1 out of 5 of the borrowers are going to actually resume paying. They would like for more people to resume paying, but it's not going to happen. The lending system is catastrophically failed by all rational metrics and measures. And but for the lack of courage and honesty in Washington, D.C., they would have shut this lending program down years ago, called it stimulus, and threw the hand grenade, as they say, and restarted this lending program, or restarted something, put a fork in this one. It's done. But here's what we do know. There's a Supreme Court case that Biden's very lame and unimpressive student loan cancellation proposal hangs in the balance of. Those cases should be rendering a verdict. There's 2 cases. Should be rendering a verdict by the end of June. So in all likelihood, and remember, guys, it's different this time because there's no longer a COVID emergency that Joe Biden can point to as justification for extending the repayment pause. That's done. That's gone. So it's pretty hard for me to imagine a scenario where they won't turn these loans back on September 1st is probably the latest they will turn these loans back on. And as I said earlier, guys, the core of this problem, the core of the entire student loan scam is the absence of bankruptcy protections from the loans, as they are called for in the Constitution. Uniform bankruptcy rights have been taken away uniquely from student loans. We have also been denied equal protection under the bankruptcy laws, by the way. So when these loans get turned back on, I know what actually will happen when that happens. The student loan collection industry is going to go into a feeding frenzy. They are sharpening their knives right now, getting ready for the feast. This is their wet dream, ladies and gentlemen. Student loans are the golden unicorn of the collection industry. There's no bankruptcy protections. There's no statutes of limitations. You take those away from a loan and you give the lenders or the collection companies a license to steal. So the collection industry wants nothing more than to see these loans turned back on, and bankruptcy, which is called for in the Constitution, by the way, remains gone from the loans. That's what they've wanted for years. And their wildest dream is about to come true. And you don't want that dream to come true, because for us, it's a nightmare. Now, other people say, how do you think the Supreme Court cases will go? 90% of the people I talk to, including people in Congress, they all say it's a foregone conclusion that the Supreme Court is not going to approve this student loan cancellation. I've thought about it really hard, ladies and gentlemen, from the perspective of the swamp. And I'm going out on a limb, and I'm saying that they probably will affirm Biden's student loan cancellation. But I think they'll do it in a way that will preclude any future loan cancellations. So they might affirm this current $10,000 gimmick, which does nothing for the worst hurt borrowers, by the way. If you're in this group, you owe way less than $10,000 or $20,000, or you owe way more than $10,000 or $20,000 on your student loans. And for many people in this group, myself included, by the way, I'm like, you may as well just add 10,000 onto my balance. I don't give a fuck. Pardon my French, but what's 10 grand on top of 350 or 400,000 or whatever, just ridiculous amounts. So I'm a defaulted borrower. I borrowed around $35,000 or so. I paid some back. I borrowed $35,000 originally. My loans were thrown into default despite my best efforts to keep them in good stead. I found out a long time ago, the hard way, that this is a bad lending system. This is not okay. What's happening? It's not constitutional at the very least. But I swore many years ago that I would never pay them another dime unless and until we get our bankruptcy rights returned. And I hold true to that today. In fact, today, 18 years later, after starting student loan justice, personally, I'm inclined to say, fuck you people. You're never getting a penny from me, because look what you did to my entire adult life. You wrecked my entire adult life. This never should have happened. Bankruptcy should have been returned to these loans decades ago. This is a cancerous, nationally threatening loan beast that has no place in this country. In my humble opinion, nobody, especially you, should ever pay another dime on your federal student loans, in my humble opinion. A lot of conservatives like to say government should be small enough so that if you had to, you could take it out back and shoot it. You could take it to the bath and you could drown it in the tub. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly where we are at with the federal student loan program right now. And the people in Washington, D.C. know this. They're not idiots. They're smart people. But I actually think that they probably will approve that cancellation, just because if you look at the grand scheme of things, the bad guys really want to keep this loan scam going. And if they can buy us off with a bunch of $10,000 nonsense, that they will make back that $10,000 per borrower quickly, I suspect. It's all monopoly money to them. It was never real in the first place. So I think they're inclined to go for that thing, and then turn the loans back on, and then they'll say, "Oh, we did it. We helped you guys. You get nothing more." And I think that's what they want to do. But anyways, we'll see. I'm not a gypsy. I'm not a psychic, as they say. So that's my 2 cents. You may have your own thoughts. I'm looking for your comments now from his normal people, and I'm looking. Hey, Amina Bekarovic is with us tonight. Hey, Amina. Amina says, in other news, President Joe Biden is set to announce a new $375 million or billion, probably, I guess, million, military aid package for Ukraine. Politico. Yeah, last time I heard, we were into Ukraine for like 120 billion. To put things in perspective, and that is terrible, but I think about the $7 trillion that we pissed away in the deserts of Iraq and Afghanistan. I went to Baghdad, by the way. I flew in there with some extraordinarily expensive cargo. And I can tell you that I saw the massive amounts of wealth being taken to the desert to die with my own two eyes, and it was absolutely disgusting. Amina also says, follow us on Twitter. Yes, please follow us on Twitter. You can see Student Loan Just #1 is our Twitter handle. Appreciate that, Amina. Thank you. Joanna L. Kern says, Alan Collins, I got a letter from Rick Scott today saying he was clear that Biden's plan relief is unconstitutional. What is your response? Student loans are unconstitutional. The Higher Education Act gives the president very full and unfettered and unambiguous power to cancel, waive, compromise, release the federal interest in federally owned student loans without approval, without further approval from Congress. Congress approved this in 1965, by the way. And the president can do it, by the way, without needing one dime from the Treasury and without adding one penny to the national debt. And not only that, secretaries of education have been exercising that power for decades now. They haven't done any huge, broad cancellations, but they certainly have written off a ton of debt behind the scenes without checking with anybody. They can do that, and they do that. It's time for them to do that completely because the entire federal student loan system is finished. Rick Scott is a snake from Florida. He's an absolute snake. The people of Florida should run Rick Scott out of the state on a rail. You know, the entire state budget of Florida is $48 billion. The people of Florida, over 3 million people, owe $120 billion in mostly federal student loan debt. You know, more than half of those people are Republican or independent as well, probably significantly more than half, being as how it's Florida, which is a pretty red state. Rick Scott doesn't care about that. He's very happy to sell his entire state out to the federal government. Rick Scott is a rat bastard. We need to push him hard. Quite frankly, I wish the voters in Florida would run that guy out on a rail. He's not a conservative. He's not MAGA. He's nothing like that. Allowing your state to be conquered and enslaved in mostly federal student loan debt is, I don't know what the state version of treason is, but it's certainly a state sovereignty issue, and people like Rick Scott ought to be fucking ashamed of themselves. Pardon my French. Get a meeting with him. I would love to meet with his staff and tell them how it is. You know, another reason that it feels good to be meeting with these senators and these congressmen, sometimes they're really bad people, guys, and it feels good to lay into them and tell them how fucking stupid they are. Pardon my French. I don't use those exact words when I talk to them, but we make the point, and it's very important to do that. And it's cathartic, I should say. You know, these people work for us, guys. It's not the other way around. Don't let them snow you. Don't let them intimidate you. These people are by and large whores. They're by and large whores for the banks, whores, like Michael Moore said. They're a bunch of prostitutes for the banks, the wealthy, the moneyed interests. They work for us. At least on paper, or supposedly, it is our votes that put those assholes into office. So I digress. But suffice it to say, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we do know the stuff that we can control. And what we can control are things like doing the daily actions, like owning this problem. I mean, I'm talking to you, you know, on any given day, there's a few hundred people that are doing the hard work necessary that I can see to fight and win this battle. Present company included, Amina, Joanna, and others. But, you know, for every one of those, there's 1,000 people out there who aren't doing jack shit. And it's those people that we need to reach. It's those, it's the wallflowers that don't want to get their hands dirty that are going to lose this battle for us if we end up losing it. And remember, the stakes are very high, guys. If they can do to other loans what they did to student loans, they will. And in a generation, this country is going to be conquered and enslaved in non-dischargeable debt. They can do the same thing to credit cards that they did to student loans. They can do the same thing to medical debt. They can do the same thing to any consumer debt that they want to. They'll probably never do it to corporate debt because they are the corporations and stuff like that. And if I sound like a liberal here, let me just say we're definitely not Democrats. We're definitely not Republicans. At least this group is fiercely non-partisan. We frankly can't stand either political party at this point. But the numbers don't lie, ladies and gentlemen. And this is a rich against poor thing. This is like a class thing. I call it whatever you want. But I'm telling you that the very bad elitist uniparty in Washington, D.C. is keeping you down. And 99% of the bullshit that you read in the media is seeded by our opposition. So it's amazing how strong we are in that. Even before the pandemic, 85% of all borrowers were never going to be able to repay their loans. That's including private loans. That's like 45 million people are on our side. They're losing sleep over their student loans. They were never going to be able to pay. That's it. And it's probably even 90% at this point. Like if you go to a bar where there's 20 people, there's probably around 4 to 5 people who have student loans, and 3 to 4 of those people we're never going to be able to repay their loans. So we are everywhere. We own this lending system, ladies and gentlemen, and we can't be stopped. But that's not to say that the opposition isn't trying their absolute hardest. The entire media has been captured for all intents and purposes. We still get a few nuggets of truth out into the zeitgeist from time to time, but we certainly can't count on that going forward, guys. The media is terrible and getting worse. So we hope for the best, but expect the worst with the media. And it's almost always that second thing is what happens. So I hope that changes. But whatever, guys, we got this, because remember, we are the student loan system. Like when we decide that it's done, it's done. And I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's done. But we still got to fight, because there's the most important question is whether this lending system dies a quick, economically stimulative death, and that is the good death, or whether the bad guys prevail and they drag this monstrosity across our lives and livelihoods for years or maybe even decades longer. We got to stand up, guys. We will lose this fight if you sitting there, all the wallflowers out there, don't get off your ass. I see some fighters on this group. I see Amina, Joanna, many others. But Joanna can't pull your weight for you. Joanna does the daily actions every single day. Martha, who's in a wheelchair, suffers from ALS. She can't even talk. She can't even eat without a tube. She does our daily actions. So if Joanna and Martha and Amina and so many other people we see out there can do the daily actions, then you have no excuse, my friend. And you're not better than us, by the way. It's kind of a cheap line, but we've got many Harvard grads in our group, by the way. I'm looking at one right now, but which is not to say that Harvard people are better than us, quite frankly. I've seen some true snakes come from Harvard, but whatever. You get my point. You're not better than us. You have to get your hands a little muddy and a little bloody in this fight. Feels very good to fight this fight. I'm sure that Amina, Joanna, and Jackie, Ebron, and Lisa, and Ed, our fearless co-leader, and Gordon, and Aaron Root, and hundreds of people. I can't name them all. So many people that are doing the work necessary to get this battle won. They will tell you it feels very good to fight this fight. I sleep like a baby at night. I wake up every day and I think to myself, what's the most useful thing I could possibly be doing today? And fighting this student loan battle is absolutely it, guys. This is an historic struggle that we're in. And it could go either way. Truly, guys, there are some very dark forces out there who would love to conquer and enslave this country in debt. And those are John Adams' words, by the way, not mine. This is conquering nations through debt is not a new thing, guys. It's been going on since civilization itself. And like it or not, we are the accidental warriors in that battle. The quicker you help us fight, the quicker we'll get it done. We should have gotten it done last congressional session, but for the fact that the Democrats betrayed us, we can easily get it done this congressional session. It all depends on when you get off your ass. If even 10%, 1 out of 10 of the people on our group were doing our daily actions, we would have this sucker solved in a matter of months. That's how strong we should be. We've got, like I said, 1.2 million people on our group across all our different platforms. This all starts with you. And that's the most important thing I'll say tonight. So, okay, guys, I'm sorry if I missed some of your comments. That happens quite often. But I want to keep this a little short. Trying to keep my stuff to less than around 20 minutes. I see I'm already over tonight. But please do your part. Do our daily actions. If you forget everything I say tonight, do our daily actions. And maybe the last thing I'll say again is, and I have to say it, I'm sorry, but just please donate if you could. $20. 15 people donating $20 would completely shut me up until next, like, Monday or Tuesday. Make the fundraising a little easier on us, please, so I can shut up about it and we can still exist and not disappear. Okay, guys, well, have a good weekend. I'll be back on Sunday night. Tell a friend about this group. Everyone with student loans needs to know about us. They are everywhere. You know them. The only way they're going to find out about us is when you tell them. You should be proud to be fighting this fight. The Constitution is on our side. Founding Fathers on our side. And a lot of other very good things are on our side. So I'll see you guys on Sunday. Good luck. Godspeed. And God bless everyone.